morning, everyone. It's Michelle Hughes again from Ageless and Timeless. We had a little break over the holidays. It was raining like crazy here in the Bay Area, but I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and New Year's, and we're ready to go for 2026. And our guest today is our first guest for the new year, Dr. Dana Churchill. Dana, welcome.
Thank you, Michelle. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so both of us are California. Dana's in Orange County area, and I'm, of course, everybody knows by now, I'm in Marin County, which is the San
Mhm.
Francisco Bay Area. So, but we are both Pacific time. So to us today is still morning, and we're ready to go. So, Dana,
Sounds good.
I reading your bio, and of course we've known each other for over a year now, and
Right.
we've kept in somewhat contact, but we knew that this was going to take a while to do the get you scheduled, but we're all in now. And just to give a little background, we were introduced by our mutual friend Rob Fletcher, who, as you
Mm.
probably know, has joined forces with Dr. Goldman, who he's been working with for many, many years. Dr.
Yeah.
Goldman being the co-founder of the American Academy of Anti-Aging, and probably one of the
Mhm.
most illustrious forces in the longevity movement. Most recently, and I know this is of interest to you, they've joined forces with Epoch Health.
Yes, I remember that. I
Yeah, and
introduced them in the
so I met
beginning.
those
That's
people
why.
at A4M, some of them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they will be doing with the World Health Net, Dr. Goldman's group, and Epoch Health, and this new venture called Longevity Masters, which Rob has been very insightful about promoting. So they are. I think it's going to be like a three-legged stool, and hopefully Rob's going to have his own show um, on Epoch Health Network. And so anyway, so they'll probably be working with you because they have their other studio. They said is in L.A. Is
Irvine. The
Yeah,
big
oh,
ones
so
in
it is
Irvine. Yeah.
Irvine. It's the one that you were going to have me meet you at originally when
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
first
We
started. Okay, good.
yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So, is there anything you want to say about that venture?
No, I handed it off to Dan came with me for 2 or 3 years ago to I told Epic about this what A4M's been doing for a long time, and I was so excited, and so I said, why don't we why don't we try to do a TV show at that time? And I did a bunch of interviews, um, and we may still do it. So what it all morphed into eventually was this platform. After I introduced them to A4M, Dr. Bob was there, and I was doing interviews with Dan, to the top doctors that day. I got like everyone. It was amazing. Like they're all just coming in,
Right,
and they're there at the exact perfect time. As you know, synchronicities, everything.
right.
Um, and so it was really wonderful. And then finally, what happened was Dr. Bob came by and he says, I love Epic Times. That's the best paper. I want to do something with you guys. So it took a few years. And finally, from that relationship where I was introducing them to Epic, then Dan and I knew a lot of people he was working with. And they started this platform this year. And I saw it, they were doing interviews over there this year for a few times. So I've actually taken a slightly different path and working with Epic because they have such a large event center, event and conference room that they built there, and a very huge facility in Irvine. And you can fit about 200, 250 people in there, doctors or whoever you want. So I don't know. I'm sure you're familiar with Dr. Goodenow, right? Day in
Well,
Goodenow, the
Dan
Canadian guy,
Goodnow is
the
a very close
PhD.
friend of mine, Dana. I
Yeah,
think I told you
good.
that he has
That's
been
good.
on my podcast. I've written an article about him for Top Doctor magazine because I write a monthly
Oh, cool.
column for them, and I am actually one of his proteges. I mean, his protocol for the plasmalogens, and
Nice.
so I've done his program now for about 2 years since I met him.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
so
no,
good.
I'm
Yeah, good.
very close friends with Dr. Goodnow, and
So.
I totally respect him.
Yeah, we want to set up a conference with him. He wants to do an all-day conference doing
I saw.
autism, ALS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and go through each one carefully with this, talking about his very amazing MRI he's doing and all the lab work. So, yeah, that should be very interesting. So, yeah, we've been doing that over here slowly but surely.
Yeah, I did the MRI with him in LA, and he's just really thorough. But he's going to have his own clinic MRI, so I'll be going up to Temecula where he's
I
located
think he
to
has
do.
two of them now. He's got two at least,
Yeah,
he's told me. Yeah.
Right, but
Yeah,
it's
Temecula
better
is a
to be right
beautiful
there
city.
under his management because the one in LA took over a year and a half for them to just to get back to us with,
Mm,
and it wasn't done for diagnostics; it was done for
mm.
a baseline for the program.
Okay,
But still, very important to do that. So yeah, so I'll be going to Temecula at one point. But I
good.
really believe in the plasmalogens and the glia. I take the 8 of them a
Oh, you're
day.
doing a lot. Okay, good. What
Yeah,
did
well, I
you know?
take
Like
8.
when before you started, why did you start it?
Well, he did the baseline test, the program science test, and amazing the difference between the first test and the second when I started on the 8 morning
Did you have
neuro.
dementia? Have you lost your memory
No,
or
no, no,
dementia or
nothing like
anything?
that. Thank God. No, I'm very, very healthy and everything checked out beautifully brain
Mm.
wise, but still lower in the plasmalogens because I never even knew what that was. And so
Right.
the
Not many
second
people
test,
do.
sorry,
Not many people do.
not many
Mm.
people do. Even medical doctors that I talk to have
It's
never
new.
heard.
It's brand new. He's like 50 years before his time. He's a genius. He's a
I
very
know.
smart guy. So
Yeah.
we're real blessed to have him. So yeah, so that's great. I'm glad you're doing his
Yeah,
protocol.
so
That's
I
good.
am very active with him and Dr. Yurth, who and Dr. Foray, Suzanne Foray. They've both been on my podcast. They're both big advocates of his program and use his protocol. So, yeah, no, every time we go to A4M or any of the shows they're at, I make a big point of spending time at their booth to see what's going on. He's so busy now that I don't get much of his time anymore, but the
Mhm.
beginning, he would be the one getting on the phone and doing the consult. So I got the top guy to give all the guidance.
That's
And
good. That's really
yeah,
good. Yeah.
but
Good.
now I
Excellent.
have you and him. So lucky girl, right? Well, so tell us about your journey, Dana. You are a Renaissance man, like
Uh,
so important to get over to people to understand a bit about who you are and the people I see. Let's see, I had written down here: Will Taylor, Roberta Morgan, Foss Morgan.
yeah, he's no
Yeah.
longer
So
with
why
us,
don't you tell
unfortunately.
us number
Okay.
one about your journey in a encapsulated way? I know
I'll go
it's a
off on
lot to say.
tangents and ADD. I can go on for hours, so you can just
Yeah.
drag me back. I mean, I had high blood pressure starting at 15 years old, pretty significant. You couldn't touch it. Not many medicines would knock it down. There was a lot. I was very atopic. I was very allergic to a lot of things. My mom was hyper allergic. She could die if she ate peanuts. So, there's definitely going to be genetics coming through there. And I was not a very super healthy kid. Anyway, I went around the world. I mean, before I was 25, I think I did more than most people do in their entire lives. It was like I was shot out of a cannon. Like I didn't let any of these things stop me. There was no way anything's going to stop me. I was very headstrong, type A, New Yorker, grew up in Princeton, and pretty much I went to school for culinary arts because I didn't want to go to a university after high school. So I was ADD, I was ADHD, I had dyslexia. There's a lot of things that nobody even knew what those were back then, right?
Hmm.
But my parents sent me to a special school in Princeton. They basically twist your brain around with calculus one day, the next day Chaucer, the next day physics, and they're just trying to get your brain to be more optimal and also the cognition and the memory and everything to really be key. So I did that, and I realized they gave me a lot of confidence at that school. And I saw my IQ was like over 120, and that was really exciting. I thought that was cool. I'm smart. I can do this because it was hard to get the information in. It was hard to get the information out.
Hmm.
So basically, then I went to school in New York City Tech for culinary arts. I'm a French trained chef. The year before they went, this is still haute cuisine, Escoffier haute cuisine. The year after was Nouvelle cuisine, just started, which is the difference between all the heavy butters and all the cream sauces and
Right,
everything,
right.
much lighter. And it was France, the chefs decided to do this. So it was a major change in cooking. And I
Right.
did that. And I had the best time of my life. I was going cooking school. I was partying, crazy person, running to parties in New York City, going to Princeton, and life was really good. But little by little, I was burning out slowly but surely, and I wasn't taking care of myself. Like I would drink whenever I wanted to. I'd party. I didn't think anything about blood pressure or really even diet back then. I mean, I worked out a lot. I exercised. I lifted weights, and it didn't have any effect on me yet. But so as the years went by, the pressure was getting higher. I started getting headaches. and little by little, I didn't want to work with the allopaths at all, even from a young age. And that was more just headstrong, like I know better than they do. But I didn't want the drugs. I really didn't want the drugs. And I went to Atkins when I was like 18 years old. My mom took me to Atkins, and he was great for blood pressure and things like that. He was a genius. And so they had me on like 25 different supplements. Back then, they didn't have any multi-formula, so it was everything. It was all the minerals and vitamins and then metabolic cofactors. And this is from testing, advanced testing in his lab, and was targeting my cardiovascular system and blood pressure. And I did it and it did work, but I wasn't willing to stop going to parties, drinking Stolichnaya and having fun and doing what everybody else is doing because I wasn't really sick yet. I didn't feel it. And unfortunately for me, it took me a long time to really start to feel it and say I can't live this lifestyle anymore. So at 30 years old, this is back when I was 20. So about 10 years later, I'm like, you know what? I'm starting to really burn out because I've been in multiple dining rooms. I've been in high end. I've been in France, Switzerland, working for 2 summers. I lived in Helsinki for a year. I went back to France. There's a lot. I'm just going, learning about every best wines and foods and, total foodie. And all that
Right,
life almost kind of came to a grinding halt because I couldn't ingest those things anymore. I had my
right,
leaky gut and allergies and all this stuff. And so I went to back to Rutgers to find out what was wrong with me to study nutrition. And that was a really, really great time in my life. It wasn't easy. And I realized that if I really focused on my brain, I could learn everything I needed to learn. 'Cause it's pretty much pre-med. It was pretty tough in Rutgers. But I really liked the nutrition department and everything about nutrition because that to me was medicine. The in-depth biochemistry of nutrition, how's that working in your body, and what you can take to supplement, what you can take to eat to start to alter that and fix it. And that's what I was doing slowly but surely for the blood pressure. And it was coming down. It still wasn't great. And then one day, around the time of my last year at Rutgers, I guess I was like 35 or maybe a little bit later. It took me a long time to finish that program. I went to the church one day, and I've been going for about 10 years. And I said a prayer. I said, I want to be the best person I can possibly be. And I would just be the greatest person you could look at, right? I was
mm-hmm,
like an Adonis, I would look really good. I could lift weights. I was really good, but inside I was very hollow. And I never really tried to work on myself ever. And this is where the road meets the rubber, I guess that's what they say,
mm-hmm.
or the other way. And
The
so
rubber meets the
the
road,
rubber
right?
meets, see, I'm dyslexic. So any of those things, just
Right,
turn it
got it.
around. And I went and I said that prayer and I came back to my house. I was renting a house on Harrison Street in Princeton then from a Chinese man, and we knew him from the past. Anyway, Jeffrey came to me that day after he pulled up his car behind me. I got out of my car. He greeted me. Chinese are very formal. We talked about a few things. And then he went back to his car and went to get a book and a video. And all he said was, Falun Gong, Falun Gong, Falun Gong. This is for you. And he pushed the book and the video right into my stomach, like when somebody doesn't let you not take it, you have to take it. And I was
Mhm,
like, I knew by then that I'm on a spiritual path. Whatever comes is probably synchronicity, right? It's probably perfect for me. I just said the prayer too, right? And
mhm,
it was weird because that's in a Christian church. This is a Chinese guy. So I figured in my mind, well, there's just one God. He's helping everybody, whatever it is. I don't know. So, but I'm going to try this. And that was at 20, that's 25 years since I did that practice. And even this morning, I got up at 5, went to the park at 5:30. It's nice here at 80 in the day, but it's not. It's like 45, 50 at 5:30 a.m. And we did
exactly.
the exercises. We did the Qigong every day. I do it. And every day I feel like I'm getting shot out of a cannon and like a little kid again. Everything is new and fresh. It's never jaded. No matter how many times I did it, it just keeps you in the moment. And so that dropped my pressure down. It just changed my life. I mean, in so many ways, my
So why don't
relationship.
you tell everybody what Falun Gong is?
Falun Gong is a Chinese meditation. You could almost call it like a Chinese yoga. And there's a book that we read, and there's exercises. There's like standing exercises and a sitting meditation that we do. And you don't have to do it every day like I do. You can do it as much as you can, but it really brings you back to reality. It strips the layers off. It lets you see what is, I don't want to say dysfunctional, but what is not working with your life and what do you need to work on? Because it'll show you every day and it'll give you hints. I mean, you're like on this amazing path, we call cultivation path, right? And you're seeing these attachments and you're working on them, you're letting them go. And then it's almost as soon as you can realize what it is and how it's affecting your life and you don't want it anymore, it goes, just get taken away.
Today's podcast is brought to you by International Anti-Aging Systems and Profound Health. The founder, Phil Mickens, has been a guest on Ageless and Timeless, and those who know him personally, as I am so fortunate to do, can attest to his knowledge, experience, authenticity, and his passion to help make the world a better place, with a commitment to work profoundly to improve our health. I personally have used the peptide bioregulators, some of his hormones, and his skincare products, and I can attest to their efficacy. If you want those unique and value-added evidence-based health products, then IAS and Profound Health are your number one resource. We're going to flash on the screen the different websites that you can use in order to order their products. And no matter which website you go to and which products you order, please use the Ageless code for a 15% discount.
I mean, that's so much, so powerful. I can't explain
Did
it.
you ever meet Master Hong he's from your Orange County? He's a
I met a
Qigong.
lot of different guys. I'm not sure about that person.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
he used to come out to Hawaii quite a lot, and I was out there because I'm a real estate developer, and I had some
Oh,
big
nice.
projects in Hawaii. And he he came to my home here in Tiburon and did a whole analysis of the kind of the feng shui type thing, but from a Qigong
Mhm.
standpoint. And he also
Yeah,
analyzed all my staff, which was about, oh, I guess 10 people at the time.
wow.
So yeah, so I mean, I got deep in with him into qigong. I didn't
Yeah.
practice it very much, but I, understood the philosophy behind it. So yeah, it's
It's
can be
pretty
life
deep. I
changing.
mean, it's there's stuff that I'm still working on. I mean, it's just layers after layers after layers and different ways of understanding it. Like if you don't get it one way, it's like we never see Master. I mean, I've met him 3 times, but he's just around everywhere. I can see him in my dreams. I can see him. I've seen him on the beach, taller than tall a skyscraper. I mean, he's very powerful, and he'll guide you the whole way. So after I started that, my blood pressure went down, my ADD dyslexia started to go away, and everything started to come back normal. So after Rutgers, then I got my degree in nutrition, and I went to school in New York, the National University of Natural Medicine in Oregon for 4 years, and that
Oh
was a
wow!
naturopathic school. So I have
Right.
those three degrees put together. It's pretty amazing for health and wellness, vitality.
So basically, it was almost a happy accident that led you, and your own personal issues that led you on to the naturopathic and functional.
Totally. Yeah, of course. Because if I wouldn't have been sick, I would have been in the French Riviera partying and having fun and
Right.
I wanted to own a hotel in the French Riviera by the time I was 30. That was my goal. And you can see why you burn out without having
Uh-huh.
backers or really any knowledge of how to business or anything. I just thought I was just going to get dropped in my lap. Well, that doesn't necessarily happen. So
Well, so
yeah,
tell
totally.
us how the nutrition part, that's one of the five horsemen, let's say, of good health diet. So why don't you tell us how that has changed your life in terms of what you do on a daily basis and how you've affected and influenced your patients?
I mean, nutrition's probably 50 to 75% of what I do every day. I mean, it'll start with vitals. It'll start with a Tanita scale, looking at 9 parameters: what's your basal metabolic rate, what's your fat percent, how many calories you're eating, how are you actually digesting them, are you absorbing your nutrients, is your gut leaky? I mean, you can go on and on. I mean, we're doing allergy panels. We test Omex, so we're metabolomics all the time. We're looking at citric acid cycle, way past, okay, you got a mitochondria, but what's inside the mitochondria, what's it doing, and what are all the
Hmm.
metabolic cofactors and amino acids and everything it needs to be able to function properly. So we're breaking it down little by little, and as the research comes more and more, mitochondria is massive now, and
Hmm.
senescent cells and damps
Right.
and PAMPs and all that. We start breaking it down to more and more of the molecular level. It gets harder and harder and harder, but your understanding gets better because you have the
Right.
past information. They just add this new stuff on. That's what A4M does for me every year. I fill in
Hmm.
those cracks, those things I didn't know during the year, and we go on to the next year. But
Hmm.
I can't say enough for nutrition and helping people with, everything. All pathology to me is biochemical. I mean,
Hmm.
Goodenow says the same thing. If I say something to Dr. Goodenow, he'll just correct me, go, no, it's just the biochemistry. This is what it is, blah, 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 blah. I mean, he just knows it so well.
Hmm.
So,
So what's your daily diet look like?
Well, I make sure that I always go to the park in the morning. I mean, that's, I think, way more powerful than any diet because you're opening up every meridian every day and your energy. If you don't have energy flowing through your system from
Hmm.
whatever you want to do, there's a million different ways to get energy going. I find that Falun Gong is so comprehensive that it's like every cell, every organ, the energy's flowing through, and I feel like a new person. So, diet to me, I have to say, for myself, it's not the most important thing in my life anymore. It's
Hmm.
giving up my attachment to things, like not any of those old addictions, just never doing them, just completely
Hmm.
breaking those cycles. Because it seems like I get more and more energy and more younger, and I even look better I when I defer, or I don't know what the word is, just not not attached to those things. But
Hmm.
I like to eat healthy, obviously. So I'll usually do a smoothie in the morning. It's not I don't blend it. I just threw it in a container you can shake up. So it has heavy cream, has from the unpasteurized or it's close to unpasteurized milk and heavy cream. I can digest dairy. And my family, half of it's from Finland, so I don't have any problem with that. I got walnuts or any kind of nuts in there. I put raisins in there. I put berries every day, organic blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. Sometimes it's hard to
Right,
find. You got to have organic because those
right,
berries are the master antioxidants. And then
right,
anything else in there, pumpkin seeds for prostate. And then I just eat that yogurt, but only the fat yogurt. Never eat anything light or low ever. It's
right,
all crap. It's all chemicals. That's our problem in this country. It's not the foods. It's they've been adulterated with chemicals and
right,
hormones and
right.
drugs. I think a
And
lot of
it's the
people.
GMOs with the, and then the
Exactly, and the GMO. Yeah,
and then the
Monsanto.
pesticide sprays on the glyphosate and all
Monsanto's.
that.
Yeah, because
So
people go to
you're very
Italy all
careful.
the time. Once they go to Italy, they start eating the pasta and the bread, and they don't gain any weight, and they feel great. I mean, what's the difference between their pasta and ours? A big difference. So,
So that's
you know.
breakfast. What about the rest of the day?
I usually eat 2 meals a day. That's it. 6 hour window, and I fast the rest of the day. I feel amazing when I do that. I just feel relaxed, peaceful. Because remember, I have to admit, when I foods would trigger everything in my life. Remember, I'm atopic. I'm super allergic. My mom almost died of peanut allergies. So imagine what it was like before I did any Qigong or anything like that. I
Right.
just ate the one wrong thing. Oh my goodness, I was off to the races. I'd be so anxiety ridden. I couldn't even drive my car sometimes. I was so incredibly sensitive. So I
Yes.
was blessed to do the Falun Gong. That's what I love because that calmed down all that down. But I can still have that if I'm not careful. So, I don't drink caffeine anymore. I tried. It just got to the point where it was not working for me. I completely quit caffeine. I usually eat lunch. It can be anything from sprouted salads to sandwich. Well, sandwiches are tough because I don't usually try to eat too much bread or too many carbs. A lot of I mean, I go to, I'm right in the best Chinese food in the world. So pretty much, or at least in the US. So I go, my wife makes dumplings for me. So there's just really wholesome, happy, good food. I
Right.
can't say it's super, super nutrition oriented all the time, but
Right.
for me, that's okay. And some of my patients, it's not. It depends who you are, you
Right.
know.
And yeah, your allergic level and your sensitivity level. Like, I just, do you know the KBMO test
Hmm.
from, yeah,
Yeah.
so they do that at A4M. I've done it for 3 years. And,
Maybe
you know,
most
I
good.
like,
Yeah.
well, do you like it or?
I've done it. I thought it. I've been with Meridian Valley for
Yes.
like 25 years,
Yeah.
and that to me is like who's it? Jonathan Wright's company,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
love what they do. And I never. It's so easy to work with them, and I'm
Yeah.
doing so many more things that I don't think I really need. Because we're doing the gut. Vibrant Labs is the number one, so I'm doing the gut zoomer with them, and we're getting like 150 markers on the gut. We're getting
Yeah.
84 markers on a cardiac panel. So if you something's just overkill, you just gotta
Yeah.
we're the company you feel comfortable as long as you're getting the good data.
Yeah.
So I tried the KBO a few times. It kind of told me some extra inflammation, but I'm getting that from other companies where I'm just assessing that, like knowing the patient already and knowing what that's about. I don't always use that one anyway. So
Well, the reason I like the KBMO is because it is so simple and just a prick of your finger. You don't have to do a stool test or other more complicated. I realize it's like the tip of the iceberg.
well,
I
for the
recognize.
allergies and sensitivities, yeah, if we're coming from leaky gut, of course, that's good.
Yeah,
If I just do the Meridian Valley 95 foods, the main panel, not there's lots of other ones. There's Asian, there's all these different ones. And then I would run my panel with Vibrant Labs. I have my own blood panel, which has 100 markers. So that's your blood. Most people, that's going to be sufficient unless they're really sick. And if they are, then we're going to get into a stool test, which is really different than the allergy test, right? So
Right.
that's gonna, and also I need to know what kind of bugs are in your gut. Well, recently I've seen is mold, really, really bad mold. And half
Right.
the people don't know they have it. If
Yeah.
they have it, they're not going to heal because it gets in the immune system and it completely breaks it down,
Right.
step by step by step. I mean, Ken Holtorf, he did an interview with me, gave me this book, which is the most amazing book. I don't know if you can
Uh-huh.
see it.
Called mold. It's kind of blurry, but it says mold illness. Is that what it? Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Mold illness. Okay.
it's
Who wrote that
biochemistry.
book?
Dr. Holtorf.
Oh,
Ken Holtorf, he's the guru on functional medicine, one of my mentors. And so
okay.
that once I got that, and it was funny because right about that time, I was starting to test for mold more than I ever had in my practice. I'm seeing it in like, 75% of the patients had two or three different mycotoxins, and whether that was affecting them or not, that all depends on the patient, and you can then test blood to see if your antibodies are reacting anyway. But most of these patients have HLA-DRE, at least the ones that are really sick, because that means their genetics, they're predisposed to mold. So even if you get it out, if they don't fix their house, they're going to
Yeah.
get inoculated right back, and they're going to come back. And I saw this so many times. So one of the major things you talk about is to get your house cleaned for mold, and to get a special mold, a person that knows what a company, go in there and clean the whole thing, use like the Geiger counter in the air, literally to see if
Yeah.
there's mold spores or how many per
Yeah.
million. If you don't, it's going to just come right back. If you don't
Yeah.
have HLA-DRE, like a lot of the spouses will, and they don't, it's like, what are you talking about? I feel fine. I don't have a single thing wrong with me. And the wife's literally like falling down on the ground and she can barely breathe and she has all
Yeah.
these symptoms. So we have to always remember that and be compassionate to
Yeah,
people.
because the people are at different stages, there are different influences. And what about air purifiers? It's interesting that you're talking about mold because that was one of my questions on my list of questions for you is, how are you treating mold and heavy metals and Lyme disease? Because that
So
seems to be, they
yeah, those
seem
are
to be
huge.
some
Yeah.
of the,
Heavy metals are pretty distinct from mold and Lyme. I mean,
yeah,
there's a big difference you can usually tell from the patient, but we usually test for heavy metals. We'll do a heavy metal panel we'll challenge the body with GMSA, which is a chelating
yeah,
agent. If you don't
yeah,
push it out with that, you're not going to find anything. And then the mold, I do the mycotoxin panel and the environmental toxins from Vibrant. A lot of times I don't do the blood metals unless I think you're really sick. But metals are only going to stay in the blood for about 2 weeks. They're not
yeah.
going to stay in there very long. They're going to be sequestered into the fatty tissue in the bone, wherever the body can store it for a rainy day, because the body has no idea what they are. They've never seen them before. And so the thing is, we need to push them out onto the labs to see. And after that, we start doing chelation. The mold I'm treating with still with cholestyramine, and I mean it's a pretty tried and true treatment from the old Shoemaker protocols. But when you
Hmm.
read Kent Holtorf's book, he talks about the Shoemaker protocols versus his protocols, adding in 4 to 5 to 6 different peptides, and it's like twice as fast to get to baseline to get the person feeling better. Sometimes it's hard to keep them feeling better, but to sequester enough mold, get the immune system back on track just enough, they see some hope and they're willing to start working with you then. Because from that
Hmm.
from that point on, nobody even addressed the mold, nobody even knows it even exists in their body,
I know.
and they're just getting destroyed by it. I mean, it's a nasty stuff.
I
I
know.
mean, weak immune
So,
system. So
so what air purifier would you tell people to get once they get the mold out of their house and they want to keep it that way?
there's so many. I haven't tell you the truth, I haven't kept up on the ones that are coming out nowadays. They're more and more advanced.
Yeah, I know. I have the Austin Health made, but they're big, and I don't know if you ever. I think they're kind of the granddaddy of air
What's the
purifiers.
name of the ones? What are the ones you
It's
use?
called Austin Health Made.
Yeah, Austin. That's been even from my school when I graduated in 2000. Everybody
Yeah,
said Austin was the best company. Yeah.
yeah, that's the one
Austin Air
I
Purifier.
invested in, and I think I have five of them, and then I needed one more, so I just got one off of Amazon recently. I have no idea if it's efficacious yet, but you can't really tell.
Well,
I mean,
it's good though, but you need to get the mold of the sources. If you don't get rid of
yeah,
it, they're
exactly.
still going to get because they're so sensitive. Once you get sensitized, it's easy for it to come back because it doesn't just go out of your body right away. And if you
Well,
get,
well, tell people how to find someone in their community that would be testing the what do you call it?
mycotoxins.
The mold and the
First
mycotoxins.
at least test for it because it can mimic other different things. You're not going to see like a guy who just is a regular lab panel probably won't see anything. and they see
Uh,
the white count's a little low, or but that's like half the people in the country after COVID have a low white count. So
uh,
you really need to test for the mycotoxins, and there's ochratoxin A. There's like many different kinds of mold, but there's about five that come up constantly all the time. And then I mean, if you see mold in your bathroom, behind your toilet, behind your refrigerator, you need to clean this out. And then
yeah,
if you are getting sick and you don't know what's wrong with you, get tested for mold because I didn't realize it. And I asked Dr. Lee, another doctor in Pasadena who does a lot of mold testing for a lot of years, and I said,
yeah,
how many patients, what percent of your patient load has mold? He said 50%. I was
yeah,
shocked because this is California. But remember, we have all the air conditioners and all that. It might be even worse than some place that's cold that
right,
doesn't use air conditioner. People in Oregon with all the humidity and the rain and everything,
right.
those areas are endemic to
So,
mold.
but once they see that they do have mold toxicity from the mycotoxin test, and they want to then get rid of it in their homes, how do you guide people in order to pick the right company to
Okay.
come to do the testing?
That's called remediation, and I know I have it in my contact list, the ones that are good. I don't have it right in front of me.
Okay.
I know there's a guy that used to come to our meetings all the time. In Santa Monica, they had these special meetings where all the doctors would get together once a month. It was amazing. I don't know. I think they're still doing it sometimes in the library there, Santa Monica Library. And there was
Uh-huh.
one guy, he was like 6'6", 6'8", really tall. And all I remember, he was talking about doing this mold remediation back then. He's probably the baseline, the best you can find.
Yeah.
I'd have to get back to you on the names, though. I don't know
Okay,
the
that would
names.
be great. I'd like to put that in our show notes because I know, it's always one thing to talk in generalities about the issues and what to do, but it's another thing quite to take action. And taking
Exactly.
action means you have to make the right decisions about, and of course, we're dealing with a huge world, so we're really kind of focused on our world, which is the
Well, they
U.S.
can
And
call my
even
office.
then,
I mean, they can get a referral from my office anytime they want. I'll research it for anybody that
okay,
calls
that would
me.
be
That's
super.
fine.
Okay, but in the
That's fine.
meantime, I think if you could give me that resource list, that would be a
I
starter.
will. I
Because very
will.
often, if you call someone, let's say in Santa Monica, they know someone, one of their colleagues in, another neighborhood,
Right,
another
that's why I want
area.
to give you the name because they're all friends, and I don't think there's a huge group of these guys either. I mean,
Okay,
there's more and more. I'm actually seeing billboards a couple times for this, so
really?
it's starting to get to be kind of a crescendo, or not yet, but it's getting up there. Mold is just bad. If you have mold and you don't treat it, and you're susceptible to it, you're going to just be sick. You're
Yeah.
never going to fix it. It's horrible. So,
So,
and then we use
so
four peptides. We use four because Dr. Holtar's whole deal was Shoemaker had a whole bunch of protocols, and that was the old way that was always done. And it took 2 to 3 to 4 years. We can literally get someone feeling better in like 2 or 3 months if we're doing certain peptides, KPV,
yep,
BC157,
yep,
TV, thymosin beta 4, and thymosin alpha 1. That's like the minimum. Those four in a good company from a good lab that knows what they're doing, and they're not watered down. They're not from China. So remember, a lot of these things they don't have all the what do you call it? Like they're not being constantly FGA's monitor. I mean, I don't really think the FDA is very good, but at least to keep the quality of stuff. Right now, it is kind of like the Wild West with peptides. So you got to know who's
yes,
making them. You got to know who's. See, I just know the person in the company. Is he trustworthy? Is he a good person? Is he trying to help people? If he is and he has a good product, those are the only guys I go with. So I
right,
assess them from that point of view. I think a
yeah.
lot of us have been forced to do that. So. And
Well,
Holtorf's company, Integrative Peptides, is really good one. And they're all oral too on his website, and they work really well. Just because they're not injection doesn't mean they don't work. Because I was skeptical at first, and
yeah.
every mold person who did those four peptides and did cholestyramine, well, there's two kinds of cholestyramine. There's one from a compounding pharmacy, and there's a generalized commercial one which has a little fructose, and it does have some things in there that might not be perfect, but for most people it works pretty well and they've gotten better over.
There's still a lot of people that are afraid of injections, but these just to let people know,
Yeah,
if you are afraid of an injectable, just take a look at the size of the insulin syringe. It's just like this tiny little
yeah,
needle, and you put the solution in, and it's like a prick. You
it's
don't
worth it. Yeah,
hardly
it's totally
hardly
worth it.
feel it. But oral, Dr. Holtorf has been on my podcast, Kent, and they do the oral.
Yeah, and he made it himself too. It's not like there's somebody trying to make money. He's trying to make it by science so it works.
Right.
So he did a
Well,
really good
I'm
job.
glad you brought up peptides because that's kind of the darling. I think, like at A4M, it seemed like that was the most talked about subject, even though there weren't as many lectures as people thought, but or thought there should be. But
There will be. The
it's interesting.
biochemistry isn't completely known yet. That's why.
Yeah, I
There's just
think you're right, though. Right now it's still the wild, wild west. So people have to be really, really careful not to buy from an influencer online and
yeah,
not
or
to
buy
buy
cheap.
from
Don't buy
China,
too
like you
cheap.
said.
Not real. Well, you don't know. It doesn't say China because no one would touch it. But the companies get all the ingredients from China. You got to
Right,
know. At least you got to know who the good ones are. All the rest you don't touch. So just
right. Well, that would be another thing if you could give us a list when you have a
sure.
moment when you're doing the other requests about the mold. If you could give us a list of the resources for peptides that are efficacious.
The ones
Let
I buy from are all you can't buy them. The lay people, the people you can't buy from those companies. I
they have to go through a practitioner, but
yeah,
that's all
exactly.
that's the thing I'm trying to say too
Yeah.
for everybody listening and watching is your first step is to get a practitioner, to have somebody that knows peptides like you and is going to work with you on a medical basis, because don't try to be your own doctor, not when it comes to something that, even though it's essentially it's harmless because they're amino
I
acids that
mean,
make it in
yeah,
the
but you
body.
can still, but you don't want to waste your money. They're
It's
not cheap, and
exactly
you don't want to get watered down or even.
right,
But the
or
thing,
even
if it
for
is, sorry, if it is from China, though, it could be dangerous because you don't know
that's
what's
what I
in
was
that
going to
stuff.
say.
And
Yeah.
they're not like our friend, and they don't. I mean, I don't want to say anything bad, but you never know what's in stuff from China. Just be careful. You need to check it, or you don't want to use it if possible. That's all.
And the other thing, as much as I respect Kent, I do think that the more potent form of using peptides is injections, because it goes right to the place it needs
I
to
do
go.
also, but there are some that work actually better. And
Oh,
he has on, I've been using this from his website, and he's an exception. These
yes,
peptides on integrated peptides are really powerful. I mean, I used like on like 100 people in the last like 6 months,
yes,
mostly for mold and stuff. But I also
right,
do three other companies that have injectables because they have stacks now. Some guys are saying
yeah,
the stacks are no good because the peptides inside the stacks will stop each peptide from working, will interfere
yes,
with the function. That's what I'm starting to see coming up now. At least some of the really bright MDs and stuff were talking on the Instagram. And there's one guy, he's brilliant. I don't know his name. I just downloaded like 6 of his videos, and I literally have to go inch by inch going through what he's saying to match it up what I've already learned to make sure that that I believe in it and that what he's saying is.
right. And you don't remember his name?
Can I figure it out for you right now? I could
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
you.
please.
This
I
guy
think.
is like on the money. He tells it in layman's terms, like what exactly what's happening. I really like this guy a lot, and he's like I definitely had some gaps with the biochemistry because it's just not even known, and it's all starting to come out now. Just I don't have the Instagram. I just gotta get it back on my phone here.
While you're looking, I'll go on and say to everyone that's watching today, with my followers and viewers here, that those four peptides that you mentioned, and add to that GHKCU, which is the copper peptide, which I'll talk about in a moment with you. But those four are kind of like they're kind of like the foundational peptides. If you're going to start with
Yeah,
peptides, it doesn't
it's
even
interesting.
matter what conditions you're treating because those four will
In
treat
some
things that.
respects, yeah, it's called the shotgun when the doctor doesn't know what he's doing
Oh,
and he's
okay, I
just
didn't
trying to
know
make
that.
you feel better. But
Yeah,
I mean, I try never to do that. I mean, I did that in the first 5, 10 years of my practice because you're new and you're just trying stuff out. But by
right,
now, there is biochemistry about these medicines, and we do understand them,
right,
especially KPV, BPC, TB500, and thymosin alpha 1. I mean,
right.
thymosin alpha 1's been used for like 40 years. When I was in Belgium at Hertog's clinic, they had it back then. And it was
Yeah,
like all undercover and so secret because the government was like against this. Oh my God, it was crazy. And it's one of the best things for cancer to boost the immune system through the roof. So it
yeah.
really helps to fix the immune system. Oh, here's the name. It's Trevor, Dr. Trevor, Trevor Bachmeyer, Bachmeyer.
Okay,
This guy,
hold on 1 second. I'm writing it down. Dr. Trevor, and how do you spell his last name?
Bachmeyer.
Oh,
This
let me
guy,
see it on on the screen. Oh, it's not coming up. Wait, hold on. Let me. Uh, it's not
sorry, I don't
showing.
know.
Say it again. I'm sorry, Dana, but
B as
that
in
cut
boy,
out.
Bach, like Bach, the composer,
Yeah.
Bachmeyer,
And oh,
Bachmeyer.
Bachmeyer. Okay, I've never heard of
Yeah.
him. He might be
Well,
someone
I
to
didn't
have on my
either. I had no
podcast.
idea. And all of a sudden and he's like, because he's debunking a lot of stuff that's coming out from, um, let's just say sources that aren't as educated with university and with all the, biochemistry behind them. And he cites research too. Like he talks really fast in the middle of it. He'll be like, and there's a 1980 study, blah, 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 that says blah, blah, and they'll be right
Mhm.
in line with what he's talking about. So he'll cite the research. And it's really, to me, it's totally interesting. He elucidates the biochemistry in layman's terms and biochemistry together so you can understand it. And it's exciting. And it's only like a minute or two for each subject, you know?
Mhm.
It's super bright. So I'm
Well,
sending some
good.
of these to my patients so they can understand better.
So, so back to these, the four foundation, or the five, I think, but so BPC 157, just for everybody to know, is probably the number one selling peptide, and that's because it does so much. And you can take it orally for the gut, and you can also take it sub-Q
Yeah.
for more of the joints and so forth. But it is kind of a foundational that, oh, I mean, athletes use it, people like me use it, people
Yes, well,
like you
so let me,
use
that
it.
one, even I thought, and this is because we only had a certain amount of biochem, I thought it was for the gut and mostly for
Yeah,
inflammation in the joints. It's called body protection compound. So
right,
it's not just for the gut, but it
right,
really targets the gut. And if you, any leaky gut, any problems with anything like that,
right,
you're going to have inflammation through your whole body. And as soon as you have that, it's going to attack your thyroid. You're going to have subclinical hypothyroid. No doctor's going to diagnose this. You're going to limp along.
right,
They'll give you synthroid, levothyroxine if you're lucky, which is going
right,
to purge. It's just this whole bad path you're going down. So
right.
it really helps with that. But then recently, I went to West Palm Beach and I was in a lecture with was the Ames group from New York, but the lady who was doing the lecture was she's really bright. She's a DC. She's very aggressive. She has the peptide. It's like a peptide university. That's who it was. And they were going into like literally for hours about BPC. And the notes transcribe are like 3, 4 pages now of what it
Hmm.
does in the body. And it's way more than anybody could ever imagine. So
Hmm.
that's a good one to start with for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Peptide
Peptide
University.
University. I
I
don't have
think
the
I've
name.
seen some advertising from them, but that lady is not from LA though, right? Because there was somebody that contacted me. She was having a conference in LA, and was
I don't think
wondering.
I've ever seen them have anything in LA.
Okay. So just tell everybody why you combine BPC. Well, BPC and KPV are often combined.
So
Why do you?
KBV is really good for mast cell degranulation for MCAS, the mast cell, the disease where your mast cells are being triggered by everything you're eating. That is going to give you, it's going autoimmunity alone is enough to make you so sick and feel horrible. One of my patients has MCAS and she ate a yogurt by accident. She was vomiting for like 2 days. I mean, it can be that trigger, that much
Yeah.
can, but she had a lot of mold things and there's when you have reactions like that, there's something behind it. You really need to find out what it is and start cleaning it up. And we're seeing that patients are getting sicker and sicker with more and more pathology and different things. Like you have mold and you have Lyme, and you have mold and Lyme, and then you have like, I don't know, you have a lot of viral infections, right? Like
Mhm.
so if you don't know, if you don't elucidate those things, and I'm telling from experience, because I would just try to treat patients, and sometimes they don't have the money for the labs, and I can see how much harder it is if they're really sick than if we figure out exactly what's going on. You always want to
Mhm.
know. So Vibrant Labs, I got to plug them a lot of times today. They're what's really helped me to elucidate those pathways.
Mhm.
Um,
Where is Vibrant Labs located?
Vibrant's not too far from here. They're in California.
Okay, so are they like a lab core that you get your?
No, no
No.
way. They're a very specialized lab. They're doing stuff that, I mean, I'm doing a lecture now on the cardiology panel. The cardiology Zoomer, they call it, is 84 markers just on your heart and your vascular system.
Wow.
It's that comprehensive. It's the coolest thing.
Can
And
I
I've
get
written,
that? Can I get that done through you, or do I mean, is it
yeah, oh
some?
yeah. Yeah, I can do it for you.
Where do you draw the blood though?
If it is blood, you'll have to get a mobile blood draw with Vibrant. But
Oh,
if
oh,
you
so they
want,
have a mobile
yeah,
person who
they
can
can do it.
all figure out.
I also do like a 75, 80 marker panel with Cleveland Heart Lab, which
Yeah,
Quest bought.
Yeah.
So you have all those Quest draw stations all over the country, so you can do telemedicine wherever you want.
Yeah.
And it's a functional medicine panel, so we can do that with you if you want, or you can pay the cash. The Vibrant is only cash though.
Yeah, I was
You
just going
only-
to say that's good. The thing for me, and like a lot of people, is my insurance pays for my labs. That's the one thing that insurance does do. A
Well,
lot
they
of,
do it for it's very still not, if they don't like what you, they're going to come back at you. A lot of them,
yeah,
it's tough. But I had a guy come in my office the other day from PIL Labs. I don't know if you've
yes,
heard of them. And
I know them.
he told me, I mean, I'll say this online, you may deny it because I'm saying it to the public, but he basically said that the company will do whatever we want, whatever we need functional, and then whatever covers, covers, and that's what they take. And they don't try to, that's it. They stop there, which is very
Well,
reputable. That's a very good
Well, when I
company.
go to LabCorp, they normally look at the requisition and they say, these are the tests that we know will not be covered. And are you willing to pay
Yeah.
cash for those? Like, crazy enough, vitamin D3 is one of the ones that Medicare, in my case, doesn't cover. So I don't, it's crazy because that's such an
Oh,
important.
you're working in Medicare. That's yeah. I'm a naturopath, so I don't work in Medicare at all. They won't
No,
take
I
me.
know. And that's why all
So
my medical, because I work with only concierge medicine.
okay.
So I don't work with any doctor that because that would define them as more allopathic, and that's
It's
completely
not going to
contrary.
cover though. That's the thing. Yeah, we get,
Yeah. No,
but
I
we
only
can.
get. That's why I said I only get the labs covered, and that's why it shocks me when I see that certain insurance will not cover certain tests that are so
Yeah, but
essential to our health.
let me tell you something. If you try to do a 100 marker vibrant panel and send it to and send it to Medicare to get covered, they're going to slash it up and down, and they're not even going to
Yeah.
cover like 20% of it.
Well,
They're going to say
maybe
you
with
don't
Robert,
need it.
maybe with Robert F. Kennedy and the changes that we're seeing,
Well, yeah,
this
that's
will,
what we want. We
there'll be an
want to.
evolution.
Patients should get a 100 marker lab panel. I mean, not everybody, but if well, see,
Yeah.
remember, my patients are 40 to 70 typically.
Yeah.
And a lot are menopausal. They're all starting, and they all at 50 start to break down. So I want everything. I need everything. If they're all 20s and 30s, okay, I don't need this massive panel, but
Right.
I want it for my patients now. Definitely. They
Right.
want it and I want it and I use it.
Well,
It's not like I don't use it.
it's like the MTHFR gene, that
Yeah.
a lot of doctors don't even ask that to
Very
be tested.
important. If you have two variants, if you have two homozygous, look out because it's really hard to treat those patients. They can't detox. They can't get
Right.
anything out of their body. You give them
Right.
too much of a good thing, they'll back up. They'll say you made me sick, and you're like, oh
Right.
man, double MTHFR. I'm totally okay. Here's methyl groups. Here's methylation. Here's whatever. So let's start fixing this or do the full genetic 360. I work with Cash Khan. You know Cash Khan?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was just going to
Really
tell you,
smart guy.
he's one of my very good friends.
I
We
love
seem
that
to have a
guy.
lot of people in common.
He's so cool. And I did my own DNA 360. I'm going over it now, a 6 month deep dive. So I know
Yeah.
how to use it for my patients. And we
Yeah.
have them right here. So we can always run that if you're really starting to have problems where,
Yeah.
even the functional stuff you're doing isn't working. If you're really doing it like whole torfer, like I am, good. If you're not, then there's more leeway to figure out what you're doing wrong. But if you're really doing it right and you got all the labs and you're still not healing, really, you need to run that big SNP panel and see all the
Yeah.
SNPs because you
Well,
need to
I
fix
did. I
stuff.
did Kim Ressler's SNP, and I did Cash Khan's the DNA company. So
Oh,
I've
good. Yeah.
done both. I know you don't need to, but both of them are on my podcast, and I wanted to
Nice.
support their work, and I also wanted to be able to talk about it. I mean,
Yeah.
the SNP, Kim Ressler's company, which is down by you in Southern Cal, and then DNA company, which Tracy Wood, the CEO, because Cash is now he stepped up to a
Yeah.
more business development. So he's the founder, but the DNA company's in Toronto. But Tracy Wood, who's uh, really, really smart, she's right by you. So,
Yeah,
they have
definitely.
a kind of a U.S.
I love
headquarters and
Cash is a bright guy, man. He's bringing stuff in that I knew, the mental, emotional, the spiritual aspect,
right.
which as you get older, I guess you get busier. It's just a lot of patients don't want to deal with that. But that's so key to find out where are they blocked, where are they stuck, where are their addictions. I mean, if they're eating sugar every day and they don't tell you, you'll find out. But if they can't stop, why would you go into anything else and try to help them? You got to fix that problem up front or
Yeah.
anything like that, or major depression or stuff like that. Let's try to work on that first, get the mental, emotional blocks out, then we can fix the physical. But there is one case which I can tell you. even if you can't fix those things, you could do homeopathy because I'm a homeopath. I'm a Hahnemannian homeopathy,
Of
one
course.
remedy for one patient. You take
Right.
a case for 2 or 3 hours, you know the patient better than they know themselves. You put it into a software with gigs of information of all the
Right.
great homeopaths. It ciphers down, blah, blah, blah. You get the special symptoms called rubrics, and you get 10 remedies that matches that patient perfectly. You can underneath energetically start to heal them, and you don't need to do anything else. It's
Well,
so powerful.
With AI, a lot of this,
I
like,
throw it into Grok. I done that, and I
yeah,
got 2 remedies out of it that worked.
right.
Right?
Yeah, well, Elon Musk is bold enough to say that I don't mean to say this to you because it's kind of challenging, but he said that in the future there won't need to be a medical school. People won't
Well,
have to
but
go
I
because they could be
agree.
treated by AI. That
I
I
don't.
think is a little far
Yeah,
fetched.
I agree somewhat on that with the
Yeah,
mechanisms and all the machinery,
right,
but I don't like that for the fact that if you go back to Chinese medicine a couple thousand years ago, Sun Simiao, Huatua, Li Shijin, the Tao Te Ching, and you look at all that, those guys were so elevated to such levels because they practiced Qigong every day. They only ate vegetables that grew above the ground. They were
right,
righteous, very powerful. They could see in your body as soon as you walked in the office what was wrong with you, every layer through your whole body
right.
because their third eye
Well,
was open. So there is that. And there's intuition, which is massive. So if you go to a practitioner that really walks the walk and really, I was forced to. I got my butt kicked all along the way. I'll admit it. And
right,
I'd like to go back to the partying days to France and the Riviera and going crazy and drinking wine.
right.
But there's no way I could do it. I would just die.
Right.
I don't
Well,
want to.
you were actually blessed by the angels to
I was
be
so
shown
blessed.
this
Yeah.
path early
So
on in your
blessed.
life.
So blessed. You can't
Yeah.
even say
Yeah.
that
So,
many
I
times.
mean, just I always every day show gratitude for all those things that have happened that, could have
Thank
been
you for
challenges but
reminding
ended
me.
up being
Thank you.
opportunities
I
because, yeah.
mean, but I still want to drive around in a Porsche Turbo Carrera with alligator crocodile shoes and a Gucci bag. I'm very materialistic, but I'm very spiritually core. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't go out and buy that stuff. Actually, one of my patients gave me, he gave me, and I'll admit it, he gave me, I forget the name of it. Anyway, he gave me shoes that were worth like, you can't even price them, crocodile shoes. So, hey, I got some moccasins. I don't wear them anymore. Do you want them? I'm
Oh,
like, well,
wow.
I'll check them out. I was like, so crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So I
look,
got good patience.
at least you're honest about admitting what your vulnerabilities are,
Yeah, I
but
gotta be open now.
you also
Yeah.
know the disciplines of a good life. So there's a big difference between lifespan and health span. And the sooner you
Yeah.
learn that, and the sooner you recognize that aging doesn't have to be a life sentence of pain and suffering, that
Oh
actually we
no.
can age
Well,
gracefully.
most Americans they spend 60 to 80 years old at doctor's offices. That's all they do. It's
Yes,
pathetic. It's horrible. And RFK and you and me and all of us are trying to
yes,
change that. It should not be
right.
that way. But but on the whole other side, like there's a whole nother camp that's saying the new 80 is 120, and there's
Yeah.
no way. And there's people living 100. One of my patients just told me that his dad lived 116. And you don't
Wow.
hear this. You don't hear this in the blue zones and all this
Right.
national. You don't hear any of this. But there was a blue zone lecture at A4M in 2023 where they showed a man who's 100 years old water skiing.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was having a good time. He was strong. He's literally water skiing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because especially when we're living in this country, we don't understand any of that because we're so inundated with so many chemicals and pollution and stress and craziness. But, I bet you those blue zones around the world, I bet you they didn't have any COVID cases in many of them.
Right.
Sardinia. And there's actually one here, Loma Linda
I
is one of those
know.
blue zones
I
because
know.
there's a religious group there. And
I
also my
know.
sister works in the Amish country. She works in Pennsylvania and near in Percy's, right? What's it called? The major city there, where all the Amish are. I mean, they see them going by in their buggies with no electricity or anything. They have no disease, virtually
Right.
nothing, no COVID, no
Right.
autism, nothing. So
Right.
why? Think about it.
Well, yeah.
So
The
we got to
Amish
get back to that one.
and
And
the
we're starting to get back to those farms in the
we
Midwest.
are.
Nebraska are starting to put
Well,
poop
look
in
at
the
what happened the
dirt.
other day with the food pyramid. They had just
I
basically
know I
put it
saw like
upside
so
down. That
funny.
was
It was on
revolutionary.
Facebook. It was hysterical. It had like those little kids, the little nasty kids there in that cartoon. They're like, man, the pyramid turned upside down. Oh my God, the world's gonna end. What are we gonna do? And then the other guys are like, oh, we have liftoff. No, we can't do that. The FDA didn't approve it. Like, he said, turn the pyramid upside down. And once they did it, like, whoa, everything's flowing, everything's in check, everything's wonderful. And they're like, tell the president to have some butter with a steak. It was just
Yeah.
totally hilarious, right?
Well, unfortunately, Donald Trump is not the pillar of example for good diet, but
Well,
look
but
at,
there's a
but
Mother Teresa effect, though. I call it the Mother Teresa
yeah,
effect. When someone is so spiritual, they're so giving, they're like a
yeah,
Buddhist. They'll give you the shirt off their back. They have no anger. They've worked, whatever reason they're born with it, they work through their life. I'm
yeah,
telling you, illness will not stick to these people very much.
yeah.
Something to really think about there. So that's
Yes.
the
Well,
saving grace for a lot of people.
your thoughts create your reality. So
Thank you.
what
Thank
you
you.
it's like what you eat is what you
Is
are.
what you
What you
are.
think is
What you
also
think
what
is
you
what
are.
you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in Falun Gong, we totally, if you're not practicing truthfulness, compassion, tolerance in
Right.
everything you say, everything you do, and everything you think, then you're just an example now. Like I've cultivated for a long time and I'm at a pretty good level, but I'll have like a thought that sneaks in and I won't like deny. It's not like I acknowledge it and instantly I'll hit my head on something or I'll stub my toe really bad. Every single time. It's like paying for karma. Like just that one thought was enough to give me that at my level. Everybody's at their level. So you got to be really careful with that. But it becomes a lifestyle after a while. It's not like a school where you think, oh, what's my thought? No, it just gets naturally because you become that person.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love
So,
about
so
that.
of all the people that you've crossed paths with, just tell me, if you can, who would be the most influential on your thinking and your doing in your life?
Well, I mean, it's going to hands down Master Li Hongzhi, who brought Falun Gong out to society. He knows me in that I'm a cultivator and the millions of cultivators, but I met him 3 times and shook his hand. And I saw stuff. I felt energy that you can't even imagine. It was so incredible.
And where is he?
There's a compound in New York State where the main Falun Gong headquarters is, and I guess he's all over, but he's there a lot
Yeah,
of the times. He's the founder of Shen Yun. He made the
yeah,
Shen Yun show. So
right.
Shen Yun wasn't made by the disciples like us, who have a lot of, we're cultivating. We're not perfect. It was made by Master Li. So every single button, every single gown, every single costume is from all those dynasties because he knew what they were in his mind.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very amazing guy.
I'm interested to know how you balance the science with the spirituality. How do you do
Um,
that?
I do the spirituality and I love the science for my patients. I mean, that's the only way I can explain it.
Uh-huh.
I've been trained for 25 years. I did exactly what Master Lee asked me to. I read the book every day. I read every script. I really get into it. So I understand what disease is and where it's coming from at a very high level. So, and I'm not going to talk about it on the show because it's something most people could never understand. But
Uh-huh.
you don't ever have to be sick ever if you can change your thinking
So
100%.
what would you say is your greatest triumph?
Overcoming every crazy, pretty much, well, a very hedonistic lifestyle that was dragging me down, was probably going to kill me, to becoming who I am now.
Mm,
Responsible, helping people, a steward to people's money. I mean, if I don't do it now, I don't want to go backwards. I try. I want to
mm,
go live in that happy with just talking and drinking, having fun. Look, I tried it enough times. It just destroys me. So
mhm,
why? And when I move ahead, I feel pretty good. It's not perfect, but
mhm.
I'm pretty happy. I'm never depressed anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not super rich or anything, but I like my life and I like helping people. And
right.
that, for
And so
moving from, well,
what
let me just tell you what, reiterate
yeah,
one thing.
go ahead.
When I was about 21 years old or 20 years old, I went to the Jersey Shore. I used to live in New Jersey, right? And
Uh-huh.
I love the Jersey Shore. I still like New Jersey. And there was a guy named Richard Landauer. He died, unfortunately. He was a Richie. He was a really good friend of ours. And he had this aunt, this kind of crazy aunt, and she did the cards. She was a card reader, right? And
Uh-huh.
I never ever went to a card reader or anything. And
Right.
he says, come on, Dana, go over there. And my aunt will read your card. She wants it. And she's like, yes, honey, come to me. Like she was so funny. Like I don't know if she's Greek or she wasn't American. I mean, she was second, she was from another country. Anyway, so she read my cards and I got all the best cards, every single one. Like
Wow.
she said, this never happens except for one.
Uh-huh.
And that was, I guess, I don't know if you call it addiction, but just hedonism, like 100 times, 100 times, 200. Just whenever it was fun, I would do it to the extent, like just destruction almost, right? So
Uh-huh.
I really, and I knew what it was she was talking about. And I didn't want to admit it because I wanted to keep, like, I didn't want to become the hole in the donut. Because back
Yeah.
then, when you're doing all this stuff, you think you're going to give it all up. Well, what's left in your life? There's nothing left. No,
Uh-huh.
there's the most amazing level where you go to, and it's completely different. Like
Uh-huh.
Master Lee says, I have my joys at my level.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And I would
Yeah.
have
So
never
this
thought I
this is
could be where I am now. And I'm not saying it's higher or lower, it's just a different way of being than you were in the past. And then
this
I,
is this is really cool, Dana, because a lot of people don't know how to combine their spirituality with their scientific training, and some usually they give one up for the other. And you're a great role model for people who can do both.
well, let me tell you something. There's another way to look at that. Is there's a lot, mostly Chinese people practice Falun Gong, so I know a lot. And you know, the Chinese people coming here in the universities are the top of the crop of their country. They're the best, they're the smartest, and they all come here. And a lot of them are PhDs. And I know, I wouldn't say multiple, I know at least two or three cases where the PhD, they came to a part of their research in medical research where they had to kill animals. They
Mm-hmm.
had to do experiments, they had to euthanize animals. And in Falun Gong, it says you can't kill anything.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. And they've been practicing this for a while, for 4 or 5 years. It wasn't like they just started and they didn't care. And they got a lot of benefits and everything. And they started to know what this was. And they understood how powerful and what a miracle this is. And
Mm-hmm.
they quit their PhDs. They quit
Wow.
six, maybe seven-figure salaries because, so that's looking at it almost the opposite way, right?
Yeah.
Where they were going to just do this because
And,
they know how, for whatever reason, they were so disciplined. They love that practice so much they're
yeah.
not going to. And in China, they're getting persecuted. They're getting tortured. They're
I
getting their
know.
organs cut out of their bodies. And in the
Yeah.
labor camps, they try to make them stamp on Master Lee's picture. They make them say, like, all day long, Falun Gong's bad, Falun Gong's evil, blah, blah, blah. Where in reality, it's the Chinese government that's evil. We all know that. And
Right.
so unfortunately, and a lot of them won't do it. And they're tortured mercilessly. And many of them, if they're very righteous and they have no fear, they're told to leave because they
Yeah.
infect all the rest of the people around. I don't mean infect, they help them to start to stand up to this bad stuff
Right.
peacefully, always, but
Right.
not if you just totally won't do anything. No one in the whole jail will do anything you tell them to, and you can't change them. You can't even have a jail of people anymore. How would you even work? So there's a lot of them that get out, and they're so righteous and they're so they don't have no fear at all. That's a very hard thing
Well,
to do.
Dana, I hate to interrupt you, and I'm so fascinated with everything you're saying. They just flagged me that our time is up, so I want to be
Okay.
sure people know the wonderful gift you've offered to anyone that's one of the ageless viewers that has heard this or has a friend who's could benefit. They just have to use the code. Let's just say ageless 20, if that's okay with you, and I'll put that to you in an email afterwards, just
Yeah,
so
just
you'll know it's
remind me.
coming through us.
Okay.
And you've offered a 1 hour complimentary consultation. Normally that costs $450. So everybody listen up. And if you can take it, I don't mean to overwhelm Dana, but uh,
That's fine.
if you can contact them, how shall they contact you?
I can give you the main number and there's two numbers.
Okay, let me
62
write. Go ahead.
626 842 9123
Okay,
and then 310-351-6474. The second number you can call and text. The first one you can call. And then, yeah, I'm in Arcadia, California now. I'm not down in Orange County anymore, but
okay.
we're here like 8 miles south of Pasadena in Southern
That's
California.
right. That's right. You did tell me that. But the first number would be to an office.
They're both to my office. Yeah, the
Oh,
first
okay.
number is just a regular phone. The second is a cell phone. So
Okay. Oh, so the cell phone, and you could text to that.
yeah, yeah, definitely. The
Okay.
girls are on in my front desk. They're 20s. They're very adept at, at that kind of stuff.
Okay,
They're
good.
very
So
fast. Yeah.
that's the 310-351-6474 is the cell phone. 626-842-9123 is an office. Do not text to
A-
that
And
number.
then the churchillcenter.com. THE Churchill CHURCHILL center.com is my website.
Okay.
And
Got
I
it.
have massive amounts of videos on YouTube all over. There's if you want the set of videos, they got 40,000 views on every one. There's 10 of
Wow.
them. Epic Times did them for me. It's a
Right.
long, I'll send the URL. It's long. It's on It's on a
Okay.
platform that's not on anything else. You can only access through that platform.
Okay.
Oh no, some of them are on my website. Sorry, there are some on my website, and the one that
Okay.
got the most hits was on thyroid. That was one of the biggest ones.
I was going to talk about thyroid, but that's okay. We will do that next time. But that's become another really big hot topic. Okay, well, I'm going to run on you now because I don't want to
Okay.
get us cut off. But
All
thank you,
right.
thank you, thank you, and
Thanks, Michelle.
I'll be
Thanks
in
so much
touch
for
with
doing
you.
this.
I'll
Okay.
be in touch with you offline.
All right, cool. Have a
Okay.
great day.
All right. You
Thank
have a
you.
good day. Bye bye.
Bye, dear. Thanks so much.